Yoda Toshi here. Hyacine is insane, but you probably already know that. But for those of you that do not know, yeah, Hyacine is insane. Now, the best thing about Hyacine is that she is more than just a healer, which should not be surprising considering the point in time we are in with Honkai Star Rail. Obviously, every single character that comes out now needs to be extremely strong, because that's how they sell the limited characters in modern Honkai Star Rail. There has never really been a bad limited per se, but the characters now are extremely crazy compared to characters we've had 2 years ago, a year ago. And Hyacine is no exception compared to the other Abundance characters we've had in Honkai Star Rail. The biggest difference, though, compared to those characters with Hyacine, is that she now helps an archetype we have not had help with for, honestly, since launch, if I'm going to be real here. Now, the thing is with Hyacine, obviously, as Abundance character, she heals. But more than just healing, she is very nice alongside characters that scale off of HP, which is much like Fujuan, but she gives way more HP than Fujuan could ever possibly give to the team. In fact, she might be really good alongside Fujuan if you want to play around with a DPS Fujuan. But aside from that, she's just really good for those HP scaling characters like Castoris, Maide, who I really wish I ended up rolling for regrettably, and other characters like Blade, who has not had a buffer that felt kind of tailor made to him in a very, very, very long time. Since Lynx, if we're going to be honest here. Hyacine is going to be one of the best characters we've ever had released in this game. Now, even if you've been living under a rock and you have no idea what Hyacine is going to do, the planar set in the game currently has a very easy way to tell you exactly what she's going to do and what value she's going to bring to the table. For one, we understand that the 180 speed requirement for this planar set is not matched by any character organically. Hyacine should be the first character to be able to reach that and go way higher than that organically. Organically, I mean having ways in their kit to be able to get the speed increase, whether that is via traces, whether that's via talents, whether that is via the character having some form of light cone option to give them even more speed. I'm not saying you can't reach the speed on other characters, because we definitely do have way more ways of getting speed a lot more reliably in the game nowadays than we had at launch. It's just that 180 speed is a lot. Unless you are going heavy into speed substats, it's going to be a lot harder to reach than you might think. But Hyacine is going to reach this easily. The amount of outgoing healing you get from this is a massive amount. So if you are able to reach that 180 speed, you get a ton of extra outgoing healing. It is insane how much value this provides to the character it is equipped on. But not only that, having that high of speed means you're going to take very, very many turns. If that was a Harmony character, oh my god, you're getting so many turns. You're potentially giving so many turns to the team if you are a action forward character or you're equipping Dance to Dance, right? You're giving so much action forward, but Hyacine is not that. Even though she is going to be basically a Harmony character for HP buffers, she's going to be taking a lot of turns, healing a lot, and, well, in the case of her, especially for those Castoris and Might teams, Blade especially too, draining that HP, which helps with the passive stacking of these characters. Castoris with the Dragon, Blade with his passive, giving him those extra stacks to go towards his follow-up attack, and then Maide as well, who will also like the HP drain. Hyacine will also be one of the hardest characters to build from a min-max perspective, because the character quite literally only wants one stat. Well, two stats, but one stat, if we're being completely honest, above all else, and that is speed. Speed is going to be the most important substat on this character. This character wants speed because she directly scales off of speed. Her damage, her healing. But one more thing to take into consideration is that HP is also very valued on the character. It's just that you will get HP organically, right? You get HP from different substats on the relics. HP is not a hard stat to get, but speed is really hard. It's going to be the hardest character I've ever farmed for, or any of you probably farmed for in Honkai Star Rail, just because of how much speed the character really wants. And it is rumored that the character is going to have a new set at the time of her arrival. Now, whether or not the set is worth saving your Relic Remains for, or farming for when it comes out, if you already have a rainbow set you can use on the character, is to be determined. Of course, the set is subject to change, so the set could be improved from where it is currently right now. But For me personally, I'm min-maxer. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time farming for this character, most than I've ever farmed for any character. It's going to bring me back to the old days of farming for the quantum characters. And oh my goodness, that set was so hard to farm for, especially considering the other set in the quantum domain was so bad. One of the worst sets in the game. So I think in the beginning of the video, I mentioned that Hyacine was an abundance character. She is an abundance character that is coded as a remembrance character. The only thing remembrance about the character is that she has a memory spite. Other than that, the character is straight up an abundance character. I would say she is more abundance than other abundance characters, especially more abundance than Linksha. Like, Linksha is more of like an Aruda character, right? Hyacine is more of an abundance character, but she is a remembrance character. Again, Honkai Star Rail in 2025, guys. But this light cone right here, you can get from the Herta shop. You can actually refine up to 5, and it gives you all that extra speed you would need on the character to help you reach that speed requirement. And you also do give a damage deal increase to the team. Now, what's super valuable about damage deal increase is, of course, not about the amount. Obviously, 60% seems kind of low. But if you take into consideration that damage dealt is one of the few ways you can buff your HP scalers, this becomes extremely valuable, right? She already gives a ton of HP to the team, and being able to give more damage boosts is going to allow your characters to min-max that extra damage they get. Think of the HP increase she gives to the team like the attack boost you get from characters like Ting Yun or Robin, and so on and so forth. So maybe she's not as hard as it might seem to be built. Maybe she is a lot easier than other characters we built. Maybe you don't need to min-max her stats. If you are looking to build this character from a casual perspective, then for sure, she's going to be one of the easiest characters to build, actually, because of how high the character's base speed is, how much speed she gets from traces, the various sources of speed increasing we have. Guys, remember, 12% from the light cone choice if you decide to get it from the Similar Universe shop, and then you have up to 18% extra speed you get, right, from the Planar Set. Then you have the either Rainbow Set or the potential signature Relic Set the character will have in the future. That is a ton of speed right there. 30% speed you're getting for free on the character. A massive amount of speed. So it might not be that hard to reach the speed requirement, especially with the speed boost taken into consideration. But if you really want to min-max the passive of the character to give you that extra damage and extra healing, you're probably going to want to make sure that you have a ton of speed on the character, because it does also help you get turns too. I just want to talk about Hyacine. I'm super excited for the character. She's going to be really fun to play around with. I honestly do think the character not being as complex as other characters is fine. But the best thing about the character so far is that she helps an archetype that has needed help for a very, very long time. Again, we're talking about characters here that have not had a buffer designated for them for, well, since Lynx again. But Lynx is a single target HP buffer. And furthermore about that, she just does that and gives heals. But Hyacine gives you a ton of HP, gives you a ton of heals, gives you a ton of HP drain, and she gives you damage deal increase too with the light cone. Super valuable character. She has her own damage too, which is nice. But those buffs gives is interchangeable. And in a team alongside Castoris and Maide, which I'm super jealous by the way, I really wish I rolled for Maide, you're going to have a crazy team. You're giving so much charge to Castoris' dragon. You're going to be looping that dragon, bursting it so often. That team is going to be extremely strong. I really wish I had pulled for my day. And Trivy, don't forget Trivy, right? That character is insane. And I mean, honestly, one more thing I forgot to mention, I don't know how I could forget this, is that HP scaling characters are the easiest to use. They're the best to use. Every single one of them, for the most part, you can give an HP Spirit to give them even more HP. And these characters have such a high health pool, even when they're like 25% HP. That is more HP than a squishy attack scaling damage dealer, right? You're never going to die in these characters. That's like the beauty of an HP scaling meta, to be honest, right? That's it. That's the video here. Thank you for watching, and have a nice rest of your day. Bye-bye.